gotten to play?
So it was the first 4 hours, straight from the character creator right into the beginning of the game. Now you have three different, basically backstories, origin stories that you choose, which actually determine physically where in Night City or outside it that you start. Miranda Sanchez also got to play. She chose the nomad lifestyle, which actually does start you outside of town in the Badlands. I went ahead, since we had kind of decided up front, like you do this one, I'll do this one, so that we could have a little bit of a different experience. I chose the corporate life. So I was sort of already entwined at the Arasaka Corporation, downtown Night City. So I'm up in a skyscraper. That's where your story begins. And yeah, so it was the first 4 hours, and it was just it just scratching the surface. I know that term gets overused, but there is clearly so much going on in this game that I barely got to tap into anything, but I did nevertheless learn a lot.
Okay, so what was your first impression? Would you say you enjoyed playing Cyberpunk 2077?
Very much. Yeah, this game, it has the potential to be very, very special, I think. I'm not going to sit here and hyperbolically say it's the best thing ever. We don't know that yet. I did see some things that I wasn't super thrilled about, but hopefully things that are going to get cleaned up between now and launch. But what does definitively seem to be special about this game, far and away above everything else, is the world building. There are so many layers to this game as far as the combat goes, as far as the physical world, like, you know, from the skyscrapers down to the alleys, the like sort of economic, like they're almost just like there's like a society within this game of the people you interact with and where sort of in the world they are socioeconomically positioned, and the way, and that even applies to quests. There are just so many different layers to the quests that it's the world building here is really, really impressive. That's what stood out to me the most.
So Jonathan, what was your impression of the Cyberpunk presentation earlier today?
Well, I mean, the biggest questions I have for Ryan are what I felt like the Night City Wire did a really great job of giving us a wide view, but then honing in on the brain dance functionality that'll be in the game. But what startles me about this game every time we see it is just how expansive and deep it is. So I was sort of curious, like, what did you spend these 4 hours doing? Because it feels like you could just get lost in the city, or you could follow the quests you want to. How did you balance your time?
Ryan, you still there?
I cannot hear Jonathan, unfortunately.
Okay. Jonathan was asking for some specifics on how you actually spent your time during those 4 hours.
So I stuck to a lot of quests. Miranda intentionally just did focus more on exploration and on wandering around, but I went ahead and sort of just started digging into quests. I'm sort of a completionist in the sense that I get annoyed whenever I have a lot of quests on my quest log, so I started wanting to check them off. So I did some side quests, some little things like going to meet a net runner who's basically like kind of the hacker group of Night City, and then I started digging into the main quest, which ultimately presentation was to get this this brain chip called the Relic, which is some sort of key to immortality in the Cyberpunk universe. But to even do that, I was really just focused on the initial chunk of that quest, which is getting this spider bot, this literal like spider bot drone. It's like an assault attack drone, highly coveted, and I was hired to get it by this fixer named Dex, who's you get in the back of his car and you ride along with him, and he's super cool, and he just tells you, hey man, look, this is what I want. Let's do business together. And then you have a number of options and chances along the way to either decide, all right, I'm going to go along with Dex, or maybe I'll go along with this other person from Militech, this woman named Evelyn Parker. Do I want to align with her? She's kind of aggressive, and I don't know if, do I want to stick with him or go with her? And she actually straight up tries to get you to betray Dex and said, just, hey, forget about him. And but I told her, no, I don't really want to end up dead, so I'm gonna not make this side deal with you, but there's all kinds of that stuff. And that's what I'm really eager to dig into more with this game.
The new trailer that we saw today really gave me GTA vibes. I know you're a big fan of GTA, Ryan, especially GTA 5. Does this game feel like a Cyberpunk GTA game at all?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know if I would quite compare it that way. I mean, GTA I mean, you can play it in first person, but it's more of a third person. I guess GTA is more, I feel, about the world. In fact, I feel like even Rockstar would say that, like that they always talk about, Rockstar talks about designing their worlds first and then building the game and the story and the characters around that. And that's not to say that CD Projekt Red hasn't done that here, but I do feel like this is more about you and the custom character you're making, rather than in GTA you're inhabiting this other character with a distinct personality, whether it's Trevor, Michael, Franklin, etc. So I kind of feel it does feel kind of a little more personal. It's not to disparage GTA. It's just a different vibe. So I mean, and you can drive around like you can in GTA. The driving doesn't feel nearly as good as it does in GTA, at least at this point in time. So yeah, I don't know if the comparison is quite fair. What I pointed to in my preview is Deus Ex. I feel like this is like the next generation Deus Ex, and I'm actually specifically referring to Warren Spector's original Deus Ex from 2000, which was just a groundbreaking game at the time. And the more recent ones from Eidos Montreal have been excellent as well. I would say they never quite lived up to the super high bar of the original, but if you kind of think Deus Ex and a couple of steps forward from that, that's what I think is a more of an apt comparison.
I see. Well, that's definitely exciting. Did you spend any time with the character creator?
I did, and I could have spent a lot more. There's so many choices, from face, hairstyle, hair color. There's different. This covered before. There are multiple genital options. There's just all kinds of stuff. But I got to this point where I was kind of going through it, and but I knew that the parameters of this were, everybody that previewed it had 4 hours. So I thought, I got to get into the world. I'm not going to spend too much time here. So I did dabble in it, but by design, I did want to kind of get out of there and get into the game proper.
I see. So your preview, it was a timed preview set to 4 hours. So it wasn't like a scripted thing where they were leading you down some missions and then it ended on a big, the E3 trailers always end with a giant boss showing up, then it cuts to black. So it wasn't that sort of situation.
Well, it did bizarrely work out to that exact thing where the quest to get the spider bot that I mentioned earlier, I finished it right at the 4 hour mark. I had to fight my way out of a building because of some choices I'd made. There were ways I could have handled it where I could have walked out of this building completely combat free without a scrape on me. But the choices I made led me to have to fight my way out. But I was assisted by some people that I had some help, basically, because of another choice I'd made earlier in the quest. But yeah, it did kind of work out where I finished that up, walked outside of this building with the spider bot, and encountered one of the characters who I'd dealt with previously. And then it was kind of the end of the day. After that, it looked like I was going to go back to your apartment, and you can sleep then and then start a new day and a new sort of section of the next part of the main quest. So it did kind of conveniently work out in my playtime.